Hello Watch fam, I'm the Chirpy Panda and welcome to my affordable wristwatch channel where I unbox, review, give first impressions and find out how to get those watches onto your wrist. Today I'm looking at a Russian brand straight from the USSR. The brand is called Poljot, I believe. It's Poljot, Poljot. And it is a interesting brand where the history goes back to. It is a Soviet Union Russian brand that started producing watches in the 60s, so 1964 specifically. And I believe it was founded in 1930 under the orders of Joseph Stalin. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page right now. So it's got a bit of history. It's got a bit of the Russian styling and the Russian feel to this type of watch, and I got really interested in it when I was looking up Etsy's for vintage watches of all places, and a lot of Russian watches started jumping up. So the Poljot, there's a Luxe, L-U-C-H, I think it's a sub-brand of this. There's a Raketa, I think there's a few other brands, but this one really caught my eye in that kind of 50s, 60s vibe that it was going for. I don't think it was going for that. I think it was just designed in that era and they still continued to make it the way it did. So I got the Poljot Deluxe. I think that's all the name gave me. There wasn't any model number. They called it a vintage watch, but that's it. I just looked at it, I bought it. It took like a month and a half, maybe 2 months to get here. I spent about 120 Australian, so 80 US give or take. It is a mechanical handwound watch. It's not an automatic watch, but that's all the information I have. So let's just jump into unboxing and see what trouble we got ourselves into. Now in front of me is the Poljot Deluxe Vintage Mechanical Watch. It looks like a dress watch from what I saw online, as what I've purchased I should say, and it is from the USSR, so something a little different. I've kind of gone down a rabbit hole recently with these watches, and this is supposed to be a vintage watch from the 80s. I don't know if this is a design from the 80s and they just keep making it Poljot, and Poljot, it's spelled P-O-L-J-O-T. I think that's how I pronounce it. Correct me in the comments below if I've mispronounced it, my bad. But this is a kind of vintage design watch, and my question now is it actually vintage? Oh, looks like it is. I mean, the box itself gave it away, honestly speaking. Let me come at this one. Interesting wrapping. So I got this from Etsy from a vintage watch seller. This box away, and here we go. Voila. This doesn't look like it's a vintage watch. Actually no, that is definitely not. I think it's got a okay. So just so we're clear, on the description they said it was a vintage from 1980. This definitely is not from the 80s. This is a brand new watch from Poljot. I don't know how this reseller got it. Are they an authorized dealer on Etsy? I don't know. There's so many questions, yet nothing can be answered on the actual listing. All I know is that this is a mechanical watch. Now, they didn't say what movement it is. However, on the listing, they say it is a 23 joule hand wind mechanical movement. If anyone knows more about this deluxe watch, do leave some comments below. But let's jump into the actual watch itself. This feels like genuine leather. Yep, it says genuine leather backwards, and it's an 18 lug. So let's jump into the specs before I dive deeper into it. Going to my trusty caliper, digital caliper. Oh, wow, 35. That's tiny, eh? With the crown, it's 37, I think they said. Yep, say 37. The thickness is 8.3. Wow, how thin is that movement? I mean, I know it's not automatic, but still. The lug to lug is 42. Those are very long lugs, by the way, and as the strap said, it should be an 18. Yeah, 18. So extremely wearable for my 6¼ inch wrist. Actually, it's probably perfect. This little crown is so tiny. It's actually kind of cute. Look how tiny it is compared to the actual case and the dial. Now the case itself feels like it's almost 100%. It's almost the whole thing is a dial. You can barely see the bezel here, just protruding a little bit. The crystal, my understanding is that it is acrylic. It doesn't say. I can test it in a bit. And the case itself is extraordinarily thin. Just by comparison, I actually took my watch off just then. That is the Saab 033, Seiko Saab 033. And that is... What? That is... This case is almost just like the... Oh my god, I don't know, it's like half of it. This must be a 16 or something. That is impressive. The lugs feels very, very protruded and long. Like it sticks out a tad bit too much, but it's giving me that, you know, old school how it used to be. These watches didn't always come, you know, on a leather band, and it wasn't always supposed to go on the wrist. So it used to be pocket watches where, because of the military requirement, they actually soldered these kind of like lugs onto it, which it protrudes out and has like two little metallic thingamabob, and then they put straps on it so that it's a lot easier to see the time. Now, this reminds me of those soldered lugs back in the day where they solder it onto the pocket watch. So I'm really digging that design. Now the dial itself, moving on, it is a kind of slate, like silver sunburst look. I can immediately already see imperfection on the dial and some dust in there. Actually, oh, forgot to say, I forgot, there's this plastic thing on top. This protector. Let's rip it off, maybe it's better. So this is obviously a new watch because of that. Now on the dial, so maybe it is vintage, because on the dial I can see dust or dirt of some sort. Oh my god, and there's dirt underneath the crystal. Oh, that's gonna annoy me. I'll show you in the macros when you see it. Oh yeah, wow, there's heaps of dust and dirt underneath the crystal on the dial, on the actual crystal itself. I don't know why it's there. Did they open up to service it perhaps? Okay, look, let's just ignore that for now. I'll see if I can clean it myself. I'll crack this open myself and see if I can fix it. Now, moving on to the dial. As I mentioned before, it is like a really nice sunburst look, as you can see from camera. I love how the Roman numerals are like really long, like Art Deco style. So 12, 3, 6, and 9. 3 is like squished, 9 is squished, whereas 12 and 6 is like elongated. It's obviously done so that it matches the kind of gold. Are they painted, by the way? Oh wow, those indices are not... Number one is not just painted, it's almost like it's etched into the actual dial. Like scraped in and then painted gold inside. What a nice touch. So the Roman numerals are stretched to match that design. I love it. Now let's move on to the actual movement. I'm just giving it a quick wind. Okay, that's all I can wind. The hand winding is interesting because I hand wound it not that many times and it's already, I can't push it anymore. I can feel like a massive resistance, and I know that if I push it or wind it a bit more, the mainspring will definitely snap. So I'll leave that. Now let's pull it out to see. Okay, that's a satisfying click when I pulled out the crown. Oh, what? You see that? Why is the second hand jumping around like that? What? Oh, that's not good. I'll just go clockwise then. If I go anti-clockwise, it actually does that thing. You see that? What? Did I buy dud? I don't know. I don't know. Let's go 10 past 10. I really like it though. I can't deny how nice that looks. I forgot to mention that the Poljot Deluxe at the top, that's obviously printed. Very, very nicely printed. At the bottom it says 23 joules shock proof, and at the very bottom it actually says, I don't know if I'll chuck it into the macro, made in USSR. Nice touch, nice touch. Now that movement scared me a lot. How if I go anti-clockwise it does that? Why? That's creepy. Yeah, I'm not happy with that movement. I don't know too much about it. I'm gonna have to crack open the back to see. Now the back of the case is almost completely devoid of any information. The case back itself is polished on the outside and brushed in the middle. The brushing feels nice, but it's a bit rough, as you can see the pattern quite obviously there. The case itself is some sort of bead blasting because it's very matte looking at the bottom. So there's a lot of different textures to the watch. I mean, on the top is almost completely polished relatively well. It's relatively well polished, but it's just all polished. The actual crown itself is really tiny. With nothing signed. So I almost feel like I'm going to pop this open just to see what the movement actually is. Okay, I can't get I can't get it off the case back. There isn't enough room at the bottom to push it up, and a lot of mistakes were made. I've scratched the crap out of the case. There's much sadness in me right now, so let's move on. As a quick comparison, I'm currently wearing the Saab 033, which is a 30mm case size, whereas this is a 35, so you can see the actual sizing difference. I feel like it actually wears very similar in terms of size-wise. It's obvious that the Saab is bigger, but only because it's that much thicker. This lug to lug puts it really close to the Saab 033 in terms of wearability. But I'm going to take it off and then just wear this to see how it looks. And here we have it. Now keep in mind, I have very slender small wrists. It is 6 1/4 inch wrist. The leather strap that comes with this is very soft and very supple. I believe it is genuine leather. I can't verify, but it feels really nice. This actually looks really nice. It's very dressy, I feel like. It kind of sucks how, can you see that imperfection like there, right there, that dot? It's not on the crystal, it's on the dial itself. It's kind of annoying. But maybe it is a vintage. I don't know. I can't. Till now, I'm still kind of questioning my reality, because obviously the case, the leather strap, crystal, it's all new. Maybe the only thing that's vintage is the actual dial. I can't even tell if the movement is new or not, because I haven't got access to the back. But this really reminds me of the Timex Marlin. Like, I did buy the Timex Marlin. I haven't had a chance to look at it just yet, so I will unbox and give my first impression on that. And I'll probably compare it to this, because this is a contender for the Marlin. Only thing is that movement is very sketchy. Oh gosh, it's sketchy. This is $120 as well, so it's not a cheap watch. Like, I can get a nice Seiko 5 for that. With probably a much better automatic movement than this. One thing I forgot to test is the crystal. It's most likely acrylic. So what I need to do is wait for the lamp to come on. So this lamp is on. Just to show you that how it works is this Saab 033 has a sapphire crystal, and it should go to like 5 or 6. 5. Good. So this is obviously sapphire from this. If it's a diamond, it will obviously go all the way to the top and it'll go beep beep beep. So this has been the Poljot Deluxe vintage watch. Let's flip the camera around and have some closing thoughts. So that was my unboxing and first impressions of the Poljot Deluxe vintage watch, mechanical vintage watch. I don't know what the name is, it doesn't really tell me. It is an interesting watch to say the least. The movement, when I realized that if I go counterclockwise, the seconds hand jump, that kind of freaks me out a little bit. I suddenly lost all confidence in this mechanical movement lasting for even a year or two. I paid a fair bit for it too. For what it is, I mean, right? I can definitely get a Seiko 5 for that price, which would last me for many years and easily serviceable. So I don't know if I can easily service this watch because it's not a very big brand. It is something from the USSR, so you know, take with it what you will. I have seen other people review different types of watches from this brand, and they seem to be of better quality, so maybe I just picked one that is bad quality, or I got scammed. I don't know. Other than that, the dial itself is, it's just beautiful to look at. I'm just looking at it right now. Actually, I'll zoom back in for you guys. Look how beautiful that looks. You're telling me this is not an absolute stunner? It does remind me a lot of the Timex Marlin, which I'll be reviewing in a couple of weeks. It's got that heavy 1960s vibe, which I believe was when these type of watches were made. Oh, sorry. So they said the vintage is from 1980s, but this looks like a 1960s watch. Really, I think. This one would look right. Art Deco, really Art Deco style. Was that earlier than that? Gosh, I need to get my timelines right sometime. I'm confused about the mechanical movement. Oh, not confused. I'm worried about the mechanical movement. The dial and how it looks is extremely attractive. I really like how it looks. How thin it is another massive plus for me. This was it will just slip under the cuff easily, and it's dressy enough for it to be worn with black tie. But definitely formal, you know, definitely formal. I think black tie, it could potentially work, but I think there's a little bit too much text, like 23 jewel stroke proof. I don't think it needs that much text on the dial. If we reduce it a little bit, and then it'll probably look a lot nicer. By the way, I kept saying Roman numerals for the numbers. I meant Arabics. I don't know, I keep getting them mixed up. My brain is just not functioning the way it should be, so I apologize for that. But it is Arabics on the dial, which is elongated and stretched. And the strap that this came with is actually really comfortable too, so I like that for the price range. But other than that, it's an interesting piece. It's a piece from the USSR. It's got some dings and scratch on the dial. I don't know why. If I was to take it as it was a second-hand vintage watch, then it can be forgiven. But how it came with like a protective film on the crystal and stuff like that. It's supposed to be a new watch, I guess. I'm just confused. I don't know what I'm looking at. It's an interesting buy. I think I'll give it a go first. I'll give it a couple of weeks and try it and wear it, you know, over that time. See whether there are any other problems, or maybe it is actually a good buy. Besides the niggle of that movement, the second hand bouncing back and up forth, I don't know. Otherwise, it's an interesting watch. I don't know, I think I'm mixed. This is why I'm rambling a little bit. I feel like I'm a little bit mixed about my feelings on this watch. Anyways, if you like this video, please consider liking that, hitting that like button, I should say. It does help get that video up so that people learn about the Poljot, the Russian brand that nobody knew, or not a lot of people know about, I should say. And if you haven't already subscribed, consider subscribing. I post weekly about watch reviews, unboxing, first impressions. I do some custom stuff, custom watch stuff too. Not a lot, but some of it. And if you're into that, hit that subscribe button and, you know, join the watch family. Otherwise, you guys have been amazing. I'm the Chirpy Panda, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.